I live in a small neighborhood home in the suburb of a large city. My roommate lived there with me for nearly 3 years before he eventually moved to his place. I could afford to rent myself then, so I didn't bother to get another roommate. However, during the weeks following his absence, I started to experience unexplainable things. I never believed in anything paranormal, but now I'm unsure. I had to work late one night and got home late at 8 p.m. I made dinner before sitting down to watch the television. I heard the wooden floorboard upstairs clicking as I sat down, selecting the movies to watch. It was common for this to happen due to the house being old, but this happened more often, and the floorboards seemed to creak in a distinct pattern, as if someone was walking. It seemed creepy, but I got used to it and ignored it after a while. But on this particular night, the creaking happened for almost 30 minutes. I muted the television and listened as the noises traveled slowly across the entire upstairs, moving from room to room. The situation creeped me out more than before. I thought someone might be upstairs. I stood up and shouted to scare away whoever was upstairs. The creaking stopped as soon as I shouted. I waited, listening for anything else, but I decided to check upstairs after a few minutes of silence. I walked to the kitchen and grabbed a knife. I went upstairs and went room to room, checking the place, but I found nothing. Everything was intact, and there were no signs of someone being there. It was a big coincidence that the noise stopped as soon as I shouted from the living room. I went downstairs and sat on the couch, trying to forget about it. I watched a show and a movie, then left for bed at about midnight. I was exhausted but couldn't fall asleep for strange reasons. I got up to use the bathroom after a while. My bedroom is on the right side of the hallway upstairs, and the bathroom is across the bedroom from the left side. I opened the door and stepped into the hallway. As I did that, I heard whispering voices coming down the hallway from the spare bedroom where my roommate used to stay. I stood shocked, momentarily, listening and trying to collect myself. I slowly and quietly moved closer to the spare bedroom. As I got up next to the door, I leaned with my ear against it. I heard multiple voices whispering to each other. It was in a language that I had never heard before. The voices were getting louder and closer to the door, as if they were a couple of inches away. I angrily pushed the door open, ready to fight whoever was inside. But my whole world stopped as I saw nothing but an empty room. I have never felt terrified like that. I turned around and ran outside the house to my parked car in the street. I sat there staring at the house while I called my former roommate. It was too late, and I wasn't sure he would pick up. Thankfully, he did. My voice was shaking as I narrated to him what happened. He told me he heard things multiple times while living in my house. The events of that night changed my beliefs on the paranormal. I don't know what to believe in anymore. I have slept on the couch for over a month since that night. I occasionally hear something clicking on the wooden floors above me. I have had a lot of inexplicable experiences in my life. My first thought is not necessarily that they are paranormal, but I'm unsure if I believe in that. I have an open mind, but I don't easily buy into things. I blame my mind or sleep deprivation on most things that happen in my life, or I could be having undiagnosed mental illness. I was showering one day when I heard my brother yell my name. The second time was louder than the first, as if something was wrong. I could have sworn that I heard my dog barking as well. Annoyed but concerned, I got out, cracked the door open, and called out to them. There was no response. I dried myself, wore the robe, and headed downstairs, asking them what they needed. I still got no response. My dog was on her bed fast asleep, and my brother wasn't in the room. I looked through the window, and his car wasn't there either. It wasn't the first time my mind played this annoying game on me. I didn't think much of it. I have had auditory hallucinations before, but not to that extent. Maybe they are getting worse, and I need more sleep. Or I had to reason with myself, which worked when I heard my brother yell my name, but he wasn't there. The pattern happened for the third and fourth time. My brother was calling me loudly and indistinctly. That's when I began to get worried. I genuinely thought I was going crazy. I decided to talk about it with my brother when playing some games one night. We talked about our mental health a lot because our parents never seemed to care about therapy. But he got quiet instead of attentively listening to what I had been experiencing for the past month. He said he experienced the same, except that it was Mum yelling her name. He said she had never been home when he went to check after hearing her call out his name. We never experienced anything unusual for around 3 weeks after that talk, until one evening. I was sitting on my bed in my room, scrolling through Instagram, when my mum aggressively started calling my name from downstairs. I was about to go downstairs to check what she wanted when she suddenly came to my room asking me what I wanted. I didn't know what to say. I could tell she was annoyed by her look. She again asked me what I wanted, but I shook my head, unable to understand what was happening. She angrily told me not to call out her name while she was making dinner, then walked out without closing the door behind. Still in shock, I got up to close the door. I looked through the window and realized my mom was at work. Her car wasn't in the driveway. My heart stopped, and I sat on the bed crying. I called my brother, but he was at work then. I was too terrified to go downstairs alone. I locked myself in my small bathroom for hours, waiting for my mom or brother to return. I'm unable to understand what I have been hearing and seeing up to date. It was in February 2001 when my friend invited me for a long weekend trip to his uncle's remote cabin. I accepted the invitation, and we drove for 6 hours to get there. It was a small, single-story and ranch-style cabin. It had a kitchen, 1 bedroom, and 1 bathroom. The cabin had no running water or electricity, and a forest surrounded it from all sides. The only way in and out of the cabin was on a long, unpaved driveway. We got there around dusk. My friend and I set out to the forest the next day to get some firewood. My friend noticed an abandoned house from a distance. It was nestled among a group of trees. He wanted Oos to check the house out of curiosity. I reluctantly joined him, although I was hesitant to go inside. We entered through an old, rusty window. Once inside, we were greeted with a musty smell. As we roamed the old house, I noticed a door leading to the basement. Curiosity got the best of me. I opened the door and started going down the basement. I froze from what I saw when I got to the bottom. Dim lit candles were all over. It seemed as if someone was performing a satanic ritual. I checked with my flashlight to see whether someone was there, but no one was around. I noticed there was a space behind the stairs. I noticed something from the corner of my eye as I made my way up. There was a black figure under the staircase. It was about 8 feet tall. I knew I was in the presence of something inhuman when I checked its red eyes. Suddenly, I heard a glowing applause. I bolted up the stairs without hesitation. My friend was still navigating the empty dining room. I told him we had to leave immediately. I told my friend what I saw in the abandoned house's basement when we returned to the cabin. Surprisingly, he believed me and said that although he never saw anything weird in that house, he felt something evil when we stepped in there. We agreed to put the experience behind us and get some rest. I suddenly woke up and checked my watch. It was 2:17 in the morning, and things were dark and quiet. I felt that something was odd before hearing footsteps outside the bedroom. My friend also woke up and asked me what was happening. I whispered to him to remain silent as we listened. The footstep got louder, and I decided to go out to check the intruder in our cabin. I cracked the door open and looked outside. Chills went through me as I saw the creature I saw at the abandoned house, standing in the far corner of the living room. I ran back and shut the bedroom door before leaving the cabin through the bedroom window. We started running towards my friend's truck as we heard a loud, ear-piercing sound behind us. My friend drove the truck, and we bolted out of there. I don't know about the paranormal creature living in the woods, but we have never been there for more than 20 years.